You know, you'd think after 3 videos of metal reviews that have less than stellar views and poor interaction, some with only dislikes and no likes, and one that has barely more than 10 views, that I would learn my lesson. The universe is telling me, Sean, stop making heavy metal reviews. The people don't want them. Sometimes I feel like Gretchen from Mean Girls. And Regina's telling me to stop trying to make metal happen. It's not going to happen. But you know what? I really like heavy metal. It's a big chunk of what I listen to, and I'm going to keep making metal reviews with hopes that one of these days one of them is going to stick. With all that being said, what is this over here next to me that looks like a unicorn threw up on a D&D warrior character? This is the debut album from Atlanta, Georgia metal group PALADIN, called Ascension, out now on Prosthetic Records. PALADIN is a brand spanking new band that plays a hybrid of power and thrash metal in a way that is just so good that I just had to talk about it. Now, power metal and thrash metal have always been somewhat of a kindred spirit when it comes to the element of speed in heavy metal music. It's just that thrash has always been a little bit rougher around the edges, a little bit grungier, a little more punk to it, and power metal was, you know, that weird kid who did D&D and LARPed on the weekends. Basically, if you could put the physical embodiment of both of these genres in the same room, you kind of get the sense that the thrash metal embodiment would put the power metal embodiment in a headlock and take his lunch money. Now, there have been a few attempts in the past at bringing these two styles together, and it's not hard to see how that could happen when you look at certain power and speed metal bands like Halloween, which kind of lean into the more dark imagery of heavy metal music. But for some reason, the mixture has just never quite worked. Some bands lean too hard on thrash, some lean too hard on power metal, and you end up with way too much cheesiness, or it's too hard-edged. And there's never really been the perfect mixture of the two genres. Until now, with this album right here from PALADIN. Somehow, this band manages, track after track, to perfectly marry the motivational, uplifting, soaring riffs and melodies of power metal with the harder, grungier, dirtier edge of thrash metal. And these marriages happen in the most expertly executed ways. This isn't just, you know, you have a thrash song and then you have a power song. And this isn't, you know, we have a power chorus and a thrash verse, or thrash breakdowns and solos. No, this marriage happens even within the melodic lines, within the vocals. The vocalist will start out with a very straightforward and in-your-face thrash metal vocal line that will seamlessly transition into a more melodic power metal passage. The guitar solos have enough room in them for both thrash metal noodling and power metal melodies. There are even gang vocals reprising and punctuating a phrase that the vocalist just sang. The way that these things work together so expertly and in ways that aren't clumsy, in ways that the styles just weave together, just time after time just leaves me amazed how they managed to pull this off. And another thing that adds to how impressive this combination of genres is that power and thrash aren't the only influences that are present on this album. Right after the excellent opening track, Awakening, you're treated with Divine Providence, and it is the first time that you're introduced to the harsh vocals on this album, which almost sound like they've been inspired by black metal harsh vocals, with hints of melodic death metal vocals in there. A couple tracks later on Call of the Night, they really lean into the hardcore punk influence of thrash metal with some just really crushing riffs. And then the album closer, Genesis, even has hints at doom metal in the back half. But like I said, none of this mixing or use of these influences is clumsy. Everything that is used in these songs, where they're used, makes perfect sense in the context of the song. There's never a moment where you roll your eyes at a clear ripoff of another genre. It should also be noted that the production on this album really serves the sound that they're going for. The guitar tone in particular is perfect for what these guys are trying to do. The guitarists have really found a sound that accentuates both the high soaring melodies of their power metal solos as well as the dark and dirty, blistering, thrashy bits. And whoever recorded this album and produced it really found a great way to capture that sound and translate it through the recordings. Now, the album isn't perfect. There are one or two little things that I'm not a big fan of on it. One of them is the song Vagrant, which is really one of the attempts at taking a hallmark of another genre of metal and applying it to a different one that doesn't really work on this album. The lyrics talk about a guy kind of describing his death, feeling life leave him and everything, and this is told through the soaring, uplifting melodies of power metal, and it just kind of makes me uncomfortable. These lyrics are more at home on a more straightforward thrash album, on a death metal album, on a black metal album, but hearing the clean vocals sing about something like this with an air of positivity just kind of makes it weird for me. But apart from the lyrics, the instrumentals on Vagrant are great. And the only other track that I really view as a lower point, not really a low point, is Black Omen, where Call of the Night, the song that I mentioned earlier, really leads into the hardcore punk side of things. Black Omen leans more into some of the cheesier, cornier, melodic lines of power metal. Some bands that kind of brand themselves more as Viking or pirate metal, you kind of get some hints of that, but there's still enough thrash elements and enough variety in this song that it keeps it fun. But overall, I give Ascension a 4.5 out of 5, and that means that 3 out of 4 of my highest scores of the year have gone to metal albums. Goodbye credibility! But seriously, I really think this is a great debut from a young band with a lot of talent who have managed to do something that other bands before them have attempted and more or less failed, to find the perfect balance between these two genres and make it work as well as they have. I really have high hopes for the future of this band. I hope they continue to grow and cultivate this and continue to put out great stuff, because I can tell you right now, I would not complain if I had more of something like this in my life. But that's going to do it for this round of Continuous Thunder. Thank you so much for watching, and now it's your turn. Did you listen to this album? Did you like it? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Go ahead and leave those thoughts down in the comments. You can leave suggestions for the next thing I should review down there as well. A reminder that you can now follow me on Instagram at CT Music Review, and you can also follow this channel on Twitter at CT Music Review, basically the same thing. Those handles are going to be on the screen, and there'll be links to both of those down in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.